Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the third episode in this series where I'm going to go through the most common known toxins. In this episode, we're going to go through allergens. You've probably heard of skin allergies and skin rashes happening from exposure to certain chemicals. One thing is really clear, that allergies are a result of our immune system overreacting to something that it deems as being unsafe, but which in actual reality might not be unsafe. So there are two main types of allergies, type 1 and type 4. Now there are type 2 and type 3, but those are not as common as type 1 and 4. There are over 24 million people just in the US who have asthma, and about 6 million of those are children. And asthma and food allergies seem to be rising in the developed part of the world more so than other parts of the world. A type 1 allergy is also called an immediate type allergy or an IgE mediated allergy. And all that means is that there are antibodies in our blood that treat certain things as trigger foods. And when our antibodies are exposed to those food allergens, it starts overreacting to it, and it can cause something like an anaphylactic shock, which is our body's way of saying, get it out now. Asthma is also a type of type 1 allergy. It's also IgE or antibody mediated. Now, a lot of you might already know that adrenaline or epinephrine can be administered to someone who's suffering from a type 1 allergy, but what's shocking is how small of a dose you need to trigger such a reaction. Now, type 4 hypersensitization is a bit different. It's also called a delayed type hypersensitivity, and that's because the reaction doesn't happen immediately. And you might have seen or experienced a type 4 allergy if you ever touched a cosmetic product or a fragrance that you're allergic to, and you start getting a reaction locally on that skin that's been exposed to that product. Now, that's not as bad as a type 1 allergy that takes over your whole body, but it can equally be annoying if it happens on a place like your face. In a delayed type hypersensitivity, your body has seen that chemical before, and it's recognized that chemical, correctly or incorrectly, as being harmful to your body. And therefore, when it next sees it, it starts to react that part of the body that's exposed to it. So of course, this type of allergy is mediated by an allergen that your body remembers in the form of something known as T cells. And the next time your body sees it, those T cells start triggering an immune reaction. So contact dermatitis to something like poison ivy is one example of it. If you've ever had a skin rash after using a cosmetic product that your body doesn't agree with, then you also probably know what I'm talking about. Now, because type 1 allergies can be so bad, all products that use any of these common ingredients that can cause type 1 allergies have to be checked before they're sold. In the US, there are 8 things that are recognized by the FDA to be common causes of such type 1 allergies. And those are things like milk, eggs, fish, shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, soybeans, and wheat. These seem to be the most commonly known sources of type 1 allergies because they have proteins that make our bodies react in a certain way. So the obvious way to prevent a type 1 reaction if you have an allergy to any of these would be to prevent exposure to any of these foods, or especially the proteins that these foods have in them. Now, there are a few studies that are showing that exclusively breastfeeding children and avoiding dust, pets, and smoke in a house can probably mean a lower chance of a type 1 allergy in a child. But these aren't proven, and if you have a type 1 allergy, then you know that you might have to take things like antihistamine when it's summer and there's pollen in the environment that might trigger your reaction. And besides antihistamines and steroids, there are not a lot of medications available to prevent type 1 allergies. Now, steroids have a lot of side effects. Of course, you need to get a prescription from your doctor for this. Now, type 4 allergens might not be that bad in the way our bodies react to it when they see it. And this is because type 4 allergies tend to be more localized than the type 1 anaphylaxis. And of course, even in this case, you definitely want to avoid something that gives you an allergy, especially if you know you're sensitized towards that product or an ingredient. And if you don't want to get a type 4 allergy in the first place, it's always a good idea to use less of any product that you use. Now, type 4 allergies tend to happen when people use too much of a product on a small patch of skin, especially more prone parts of the body like the face or the abdomen. Just remember that using too much of any product per surface area of your skin means that the likelihood of you becoming allergic to that ingredient increases as your body mistakes it for being a pathogen or an invader. And there are steroid creams that you might be prescribed for a type 4 allergy if you ever get one. So it's always a good idea to prevent or minimize the use of cosmetic products that are being sold on the basis of a special fragrance or smell, or just an emotive ingredient that's basically not doing anything at all but just potentially giving you allergies. natural or essential oils can be quite useful substitutes for cosmetic products. If you do decide to substitute your cosmetic products with more natural products, then make sure those ingredients are refined and they don't contain proteins that are going to give you allergies. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell button so you know when I release my next video. I'm Roshan Patel, and you have a nice week.